Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. TARDIS, and today I'm going to be reviewing the epic conclusion, sort of, more on that later, of Big Finish's epic 60th anniversary story, Doctor Who Once and Future. Now this is a saga that started back in May 2023 with monthly installments leading to a two-part finale in October. A few weeks ago we talked about Doctor Who Once and Future Time Lord Immemorial, starring Christopher Eccleston and David Warner as the 9th and Unbound Doctor respectively, and now we have the final conclusion, sort of, Once and Future The Union, starring Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor, Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor, Carole Ann Ford reprising her role as Susan from the TV series, the first Doctor Who companion, the Doctor's granddaughter, and Alex Kingston, who plays River Song, aka the Doctor's wife. Also guest starring in this set, we've got Maureen O'Brien, who played Vicky in the classic series in the 1960s, but she's not playing Vicky here, she's playing the titular, the Union, who is the big bad of this whole series. So for those of you who don't know the premise of Once and Future, I don't know who of you would be watching this because you are 7 installments deep. Basically, during the Time War, the Doctor got hit by a degeneration weapon, which is causing him to go through his time stream. And he's had a bunch of adventures over the course of these past few months where he's been swapping from body to body. We had an adventure with the 4th Doctor, the 5th, 6th, 7th, etc. This also included stories where they moved forward and sideways in their time stream, hence the 9th, Unbound and 10th Doctor. And we've had a bunch of companions and adversaries along the way: Davros, Harry Sullivan, Jackie Tyler, the Doctor's daughter, the Curator, Sarah Jane, the Meddling Monk, etc. At the end of the last installment, Once and Future Time Lord Immemorial, the Doctor figured out where the degeneration weapon was made and was told to search for the Union, and got a distress signal from his granddaughter Susan, leading to a newly degenerated 8th Doctor to heed that call. And he's also changing to the 4th incarnation as well. Tom Baker has quite a sizable appearance in this story. Susan has been held captive by the Union, but River Song is there to also help to break her out, and it's up to the Doctor, Susan and River to figure out who the Union is, what she's plotting, and they have to stop her. It is a very fitting finale to have the ending of the Once and Future story centre around the Doctor's granddaughter, the companion who was there in the very first episode of Doctor Who nearly 60 years ago, and played still all of these years later by Carole Ann Ford, and there are some great interactions there of different incarnations of the Doctor who Susan has never seen or met, getting a little moment to share with her.
Don't count your chickens, Doctor, not when they're liable to pop back in their eggs. There's something here, accelerating degeneration. Oh no. Here we go again.
Oh, my giddy aunt! Not now!
Grandfather! What are you doing here?
I'm back. Let me get my bearings.
Are you all right?
Not really, but something's keeping me stable, or someone. Susan? Dear Susan, is that you?
Grandfather?
Oh, who else? I picked up your distress call.
I didn't send one. I was captured before I had a chance.
How curious. Captured, you say? But where did you spring from just now?
Someone unlocked my cell and sent me to a portal. It brought me here.
A portal?
A kind of transmat booth. Back this way.
Yeah, sounds just the ticket. We should find it before those crystal fellows find us. They might sparkle, but I'd say they're not too bright.
Grandfather! It's you!
Hello, Susan. Sorry about that. Rush of adrenaline triggered a change. Where were we?
The amalgams? The portal?
Oh, yes. We better run.
Now, those scenes are lovely, and there's a few surprise cameo appearances over the course of the story. If you're going into this, do not look at the cast list beforehand, because that does spoil many of the characters and the cameos that appear over the course of this feature-length story. This is about 75 minutes long. The issue, however, with Once and Future The Union is that while it does get some great moments and some wonderful emotional mileage out of the Doctor reuniting with Susan, Susan has basically nothing to do in terms of the actual story. It turns out that River Song has been doing all of the work behind the scenes trying to maneuver the Doctor to this place. River breaks Susan out of prison. River was the one who sent the distress signal to the Doctor. Susan has shockingly little agency in what's meant to be her featured story. And I'm obviously not asking for a elderly Susan Foreman to be karate chopping all of the characters and, you know, drop kicking the villains and fighting and getting really stuck into the thick of the action, but it feels like she really has nothing to do other than have some emotional leverage over the audience. But you know what? Maybe that's enough here. Like I said, we are 7 installments into Once and Future. You're either on board and you're not. This is basically akin to The Power of the Doctor or The Five Doctors, where there's not much in terms of a story or anything approaching a theme other than celebrating the past of the show. And on that front, Once and Future, The Union, is a somewhat satisfying ending of the story. All of the Doctors come together at the end in order to fight off the Union, and they're all, oh, we are the Doctor and we love ourselves, and you know, basically the whole plot gets resolved through the power of love. And if the past few sentences have caused you to roll your eyes and just think, no, this isn't really for me, I don't think you're really going to be on board for Once and Future, generally speaking. The performances across the board are strong. Maureen O'Brien is an awful lot of fun as the Union, a really different type of villain who does get a little bit of a twist midway through the story as to their identity. Paul McGann is great, but because he is also sharing with multiple other Doctors, including a more prominent 4th Doctor than you'd expect in this type of story, he doesn't really have that much to do. River Song is here and she's fun, but she is back to basically, oh, I'm flirting, I went on a date with a Dalek from Spyridon, stuff like that. Basically, Alex Kingston is great, but this is the version of the character who I'm not particularly fond of. I don't want to sound like I'm being super down about Once and Future The Union, because it's fine. You know, it is a fitting conclusion to this type of anniversary story, but really it is just a case of, here's this cool character, here's this callback to the classic series, here's this call to the future of the series, because we also have other future Doctors beyond the Time War. But when we get to the ending and the conclusion is basically, oh, what is Once and Future? It's the friends we made along the way. It's the people and the Time Lords we were along the way. It's like, yeah, that's fitting, but maybe you could have aimed a bit higher? I don't know. Even though it's about 75 minutes long, the whole story does seem to spread itself quite thin. I'm kind of surprised how many big callbacks there were to Big Finish's past, though. Like, obviously, Big Finish are part of Doctor Who's history as well, and, you know, you have had in previous encounters David Warner as the Unbound Doctor, Rufus Hound as the Meddling Monk, the 6th Doctor as the Curator. You know, Big Finish's history has been on full display over this anniversary special, but with Once and Future, if you are not intimately acquainted with, for example, the history of the 8th Doctor and Susan, or other Big Finish original characters whom I won't spoil, then this might land like a great big thud to you, which I think is a bit of a shame. I think that some of the best Once and Future installments, like Martian Invasion and Planetoid 50, have been able to just stand on their own, but with Once and Future The Union, there's quite a bit more prerequisite than you'd expect, other than, of course, the previous installments of Once and Future. There are some really strong moments in The Union, but a lot of those moments hinge on Susan being way more active in this story than she actually is, and I think that is kind of why I'm feeling a little bit cold on The Union. You know, great performances, some great dialogue. I think Matt Fitton's dialogue here really shines through, but the actual story itself, the immediate stakes, the structure, it does feel a little bit wishy-washy. There's an extended sequence on prehistoric Earth, which I think is meant to be like a reference to An Unearthly Child, you know, when they go to 100,000 BC, but nothing really comes from it other than, oh, we're in this time period that maybe the first story was set in, oh, we won't confirm it. I don't know, it's a bit weird like that. Now, Once and Future The Union does definitively end the Doctor's story, like there's no cliffhanger, there's no, oh, where are you going now, old girl, while shouting at the TARDIS or something, and the behind-the-scenes interviews, including the extended ones that come with the special edition version, they make no allusions, they make no hints to the actual conclusion of Once and Future, Coda, the final act, which comes out in 13 months' time. Yes, the actual Once and Future story has currently ended, but we won't know what the coda is until November 2024. We have no cast members to announce, we only have the creative team. Now, I'm mildly excited about this because, you know, goodness knows what this is. Is this the Fugitive Doctor? What? But it's also written by Tim Foley, and slight digression here, Tim Foley has had, like, an extraordinary year at Big Finish. He did The Lower Road for Rose Tyler and the Dimension Canon 3 Trapped, The Pursuit of the Nightjar, which is the 5th Doctor story, which is currently my #1 Big Finish story of the year, Dead Man Talking from the Orphan Quartet, Sigil, Cuckoo. He also did the Diary of River Song Friend of the Family, which is my overall favourite box set of 2023 so far. So to have Tim Foley attached to Once and Future Coda, the final act, makes me pretty excited, but it just seems a bit weird to hold off on the conclusion of the 60th anniversary special when we're going to be at the 61st anniversary. I don't know, maybe they were a bit too preemptive on announcing this one. I will say though, a real consistent highlight of all of these sets has been the behind the scenes interviews with all of the creatives and all of the actors involved, and that stays true for the Union as well. There's some brilliant interviews with Carol Ann Ford and Maureen O'Brien. In particular, Carol Ann Ford sharing a brilliant anecdote of being on a Doctor Who cruise with Verity Lambert, the original Doctor Who producer, and asking her, why did you hire me as Susan in the first place? The answer is absolutely terrific, and hearing Maureen O'Brien in the same room just cackling away, just laughing at the story, real highlight of the box set. I won't give my general overall thoughts to the Once and Future saga right now. I need to kind of like sit on it a little bit. But in terms of Once and Future the Union, it does conclude the story. A lot of the threads and some of those hanging ideas do pay off from previous episodes. But in terms of an actual conclusion on its own, it felt a little bit lackluster. I do feel like I am being a bit more negative than I mean to be. Like I said, there are some great moments here, the cast are a lot of fun, and there is something really thematically strong about bringing Susan into the final installment here. But because there is so much to pay off, they have left these threads so late into this story rather than actually like divvying them up to the previous 6 installments. It means that with the Union, you've got an awful lot of flash, but not that much in the way of substance. It does feel a bit by the books. It feels like this is the final chapter of the 60th anniversary celebration from Big Finish, and end sentence. That's the end of the sentence. I am intrigued about the final act, but as for now, it ended, and there we go. Thank you so much for listening to my review of Once and Future the Union. Let me know your thoughts in the description below if you've been following the story from the beginning or just been dipping in and out based on which Doctor that you like. I will say that the best installment, and the one that I think you can just pick up and have no prerequisite for, is The Martian Invasion of Planetoid 50 with David Tennant, Michelle Gomez and Stephen Noonan. Like, this is the best installment of the saga and it's not even close. But let me know your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more Doctor Who related videos in the future, including more Big Finish, and I'll see you folks next time.